officially 6:30 on October the 9th. Welcome everybody, good evening. Tonight, the Historical Society of Lula, Belton, Georgia welcomes you to our first ever Meet the Candidate question and answer night. This is actually history in the making, and that's why the Historical Society is running this event. I'd like to thank Cole Kleiman and Nora Almazan, who graciously agreed to be tonight's moderators. Thank you both. They are from WCHM 94.3 radio out of Clarksville. I'd also like to thank Lula News for broadcasting tonight's question and answer, and I'd also like to thank our very own Bobby Shockley for being our timekeeper. So thank you all. As a reminder, tonight is not a debate. Comments made by one candidate will not be up for rebuttal by another, and our moderators will cut them off if they start to. It's time to meet our candidates. Tonight we have in our mayor's race, we have Bruce Lane and Amanda Browning. In District 2, we have Andrew Carlisle, who is running unopposed. And in District 3, we have Chris Lou Allen and Felton Wood, who apparently could not be with us tonight. We collected 22 questions from the community, and we're going to do our best to get through as many of those as possible before we lose everybody tonight. Each candidate will be asked the same question, and they will be given 2 minutes to respond. At the time, our timekeeper will hold up a sign telling them that their time is up. Just a reminder, there are no rebuttals. And I'm going to say, let this begin.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I literally told everybody, turn on your mic, know how to use it, and then I did not lead by example. So thank you for being here. We are going to, just so you'll know, we're going to rotate through so that each person has an opportunity to answer the question first, last, and in the middle. So I'm going to start with Mr. Lane, and I'm going to start with the first question, and this is the mayoral candidates here. And Mr. Lane, tell us about yourself and why you are choosing to run for office here in Lula. You have 2 minutes.
So my name is Bruce Lane. I've lived in Lula a little over 20 years now, married to my wife, Katrina Lane, for 21 years. We have 2 sons and 2 daughters, along with 7 grandchildren. I'm a member of Airline Baptist Church, where I serve as a deacon, also as a Gideon in the Hall East camp. I've worked in the transportation industry for almost 40 years, from driving trucks, owning trucks, working on trucks, teaching people how to drive trucks, managing several large trucking companies in the Gainesville, Hall County area, and now I serve as a area safety manager for a large trucking company out of Alpharetta, which I'm based here at Kubota's site, dealing with everything from Beaufort to South Carolina now. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, and I have been on the Lula Planning Commission now for about 10 months. I worked on the comprehensive plan a couple years ago that was adopted. And I'm choosing to run for office because I saw a need to bring community together. Over the last several years, we've had a lot of strife and negativity. That has been repaired to a point. Things have gotten somewhat better. But I feel like I can mend some more relationships. I feel that I can work with people within the city as well as outside the city within our county to bring things back to a standard that we can be proud of, that we can be respected for. I've been in management now for over 30 years, along with serving as a director of training when I was at North Georgia Tech. And I know how to bring people together. I've had to deal with several different categories of people, I guess, and different attitudes throughout the years. And if anybody knows anything about truck drivers, you know how that can be sometimes. But I have dealt with them and found viable solutions to come to common ground to be able to handle the situations that do come about. And I won't go into too many of those, but
Ms. Browning,
So I'm Amanda Browning. Many of you know me from Amanda's Farm to Fork. I had a restaurant here downtown. I'm a mother of 5. I have 2 beautiful grandchildren. Many of you know my husband Rooster because, as we all say, he's a delight. But I've done a million things in my life. I mean, I've done everything from being invited to the White House by the First Lady. I have ran my own business. I worked for a profitable company here in Gainesville for 22 years where I was a bookkeeper, and I was over financials, so that is my strong point, is financials. I would balance books from 20 million up to 35 million. So that is my wheelhouse, and that is what I use on a day-to-day basis to maintain everything I do in my current business. I have a tea room, I have a restaurant, and I also have a wedding venue right here in White County. So I feel that having a strong sense of business is important in everything you do. If you can't balance a budget, then you cannot financially function. I'm probably one of the rarest people you will ever meet. I do not have a mortgage. I do not have a loan. I do not have a car payment. I do not own a credit card. I am debt free. Why? Because I choose not to make debt when you have money on the books. And I think that is an important part of Lula. We don't want to add more debt. We still want to grow our town in a respectable way, but we need to do it on a budget, which we are learning right now that Hall County can't handle a budget to save their lives. So I think that was one of my biggest things is I look at Lula, I look at what Lula can become, and I think that there's work to be done, and I think that I could possibly be the right person for it.
Time's up.
Next up, we have Andrew Carlisle, who is unopposed, District 2. The question is, tell us about yourself and why you're choosing to run for office here in Lula.
I am Andrew Carlisle. I have lived here in Lula for 17 years. I have been married to my beautiful bride, who's out in the crowd today, for 17 years also, so that makes it easy for me to remember that I've lived in Lula and been married for 17 years. I have 2 beautiful daughters out there as well. They have pretty much lived here in Lula their entire lives and attended the schools here. I attend church and am a member of Liberty Church in Lula. Why I'm running, I'm kind of new to all this, I'll be honest, but I do want to make a difference in the community that I live in. I see what's going on kind of in the world, I kind of see what's going on in Lula. I have worked in a business that's let me see situations like I think that will be here in Lula in the coming future. I work for Northwest Exterminating. I've worked there for 17 years and worked my way up in there, and I do manage an office now. I've seen small towns, well, they were small, and that's the key word, they were small. Buford, I've worked in that area. If you've been out to there and you've been in Sugar Hill, it's not so small anymore. I've seen some of the plans that are kind of in the works around us. I want to be here to make a difference. I've also heard rumors about some of the things that have been going on with Lula, people not getting along. I think I bring a little special case to this. I got to get along with a lot of different people. I do want to bring that here and see if I can make a difference in the community that I live in and serve the community. Thank you.
Thank you. And then District 3 City Council, Chris Llewellyn, who is running against Felton Wood. Mr. Llewellyn, the question is, tell us about yourself and why you are choosing to run for office here in Lula.
Okay. As I said, my name is Chris Llewellyn. I've lived here my whole life. The Llewellyn side of my family's been here way before this was ever a town. Grew up here. Me and my wife got married and chose to live here. Raised our 3 kids here. We have a granddaughter. I ran a year and a half ago to fulfill an unexpired term that was vacated. And everybody's always told me how slow government moves, and I still was shocked at how slow it takes to get something done. So there's still things I would like to see accomplished, so that's why I chose to run again.
And just to make things easier, Mr. Bobby, if when they have 30 seconds remaining, if you can turn the sign to the brown to let them know. And the reason that I held off saying that is because no one had a fair advantage. Let them know 30 seconds and then flip it to the time's up. And I'm going to pass the mic to Mr. Kleiman.
We're going to begin with Mr. Carlisle. We're going to start here. The question that I have, Mr. Carlisle, here in front of us, what makes you a good candidate for the office you're running for?
Like I said, I'm kind of new to this. I watch politics. I know it's kind of something new to me. I don't know really what my impact can be yet. So I'd have to kind of get to know that and see what I could do. But to the best of my ability, when I do know what I can do, I'd like to make a difference in the community that I live in. I mean, I do live here, so I experience Lula on a daily basis. So if there's something that I can do to impact its future, to impact whether it is successful, and especially with some of the things I've seen, I just know there's some big plans in the works if they do come to fruition, and if I can help guide the city that I'm living in to where we can be successfully not just overshadowed, because I mean I want our town to look, I love our town. I mean I've been here a long time and I want to do what I can to make it better, continue to clean it up, to take care of the park, and to just serve the community. So thank you.
All right, we're going to step on to Mr. Llewellyn also. The question was, what makes you a good candidate for the office you're running for?
I think I work well with others. I do a good job of collaborating. I don't have a problem when somebody has a better idea than mine, you know, stepping back and supporting them with their ideas. You know, there was some infighting, and it had got better even before I got on there. But overall, I think we work well together. We don't always agree, but we respect each other, and I like to see things continuing that way.
Mr. Lane, we're going to move on to you.
Mr. Williams Brandon,
We can, if you want to.
because he answered first. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I'm just a big one on being fair, first, second, all that kind of stuff. So we switched them.
Perfect. Ms. Browning, we'll start with you. For the race for mayor, what makes you a good candidate for the office you're running for?
So I was thinking of all of my memories here in Lula, and so many of you have been part of them. And I think that what makes the main reason why I want to be mayor is because I love this town, and I have invested in this town. I've raised my children here. I've had businesses here. In fact, I can look out that window and see my first apartment right there on Main Street. $275 a month is what I paid in 1993. So I have so much here that I love that I don't want to see it fall apart. And as I look at 365 and everything that is coming our way, I have often felt that the people of Lula don't have a real voice. Or in fact, when I have gone to ask questions, I felt like I haven't really been listened to. And I think that that's important. I think that everyone in Lula is important, and they should all know that they have a voice. And I want people to know that from me. I want them to know that we don't have to agree, but I want to hear your opinion. And I'm also going to have an opinion, but that doesn't mean we can't work on that together. And as I see this growth, I am just struck that if I don't do something, if I don't jump in, if I don't say something, then we're going to lose this town we love.
Mr. Lane, we'll close out with you here for this question. What makes you a good candidate for the office you're running for?
Well, I feel that my 30 years of management experience dealing with Fortune 500 companies on a daily basis and finding solutions to problems that do arise logistically that I've done since I started driving a truck. Every day was a challenge. Every day we had to figure out where we were going. Well before GPS, we used to have these big old atlases, and you had to kind of just figure it out. I'm a pre-planner. I like to be proactive. I don't like to be reactive. I preach that daily at work with my drivers. You know, be proactive in what you're doing each day. Make sure that you're thinking ahead. We have a lot of growth on the way. We know that. We've seen that. And we have to be ready for it. We can't just let it come and overtake us or let it pass us by. We have to have that plan in place. And I feel that these ongoing problems are my wheelhouse. I deal with it on a daily basis. I am more of a mediator when it comes to problems that do arise, trying to bring two sides together to find that common ground, to find that that's a viable solution that is going to, may not be happy with everybody, may not be a good decision with everybody, but in the long run, it is something that everybody can live with. And you know, those are decisions that when you're in management, it's not always popular. A lot of times you make those unpopular decisions, you have to live with that. You know, it's one of those things where if you've ever been in those positions, you know what I'm talking about.
Thank you. We are going to go down to City Councilman Mr. Llewellyn. And Mr. Llewellyn, can you see Mr. Bobby okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, your question is twofold. What is your vision for Lula in 5 years? And what about 10 years?
In the next 5 years, I'd like to see us get this downtown developed. You know, we took out some older houses and we've got it cleared. I would like to see us get that off the ground. I would like to see more businesses in the downtown. And it's going to take, you know, a lot of people don't want to hear this, but it's going to take more people, which we do have more houses coming. We need them to support the business. On the 10-year, you know, definitely get all that completed, but I would like to see Lula have more of a voice and more of a say in the direction of Hall County and Banks County. You know, I think as we grow, I think we'll have the opportunity to do that. And you know, we've got a lot of good people up here. I think we should be more proactive and, like I said, have more of a voice in the counties.
To you in the mayor's race, Mr. Lane, the question is, what is your vision for Lula in 5 years and in 10 years?
So that's kind of a twofold question, as you said. I see many challenges ahead for Lula. Like I said earlier, with the growth that's on its way, the growth that's already coming, and that we've already experienced. I see it as a place where we can keep our small town feel. We have to plan for that. I think it's still alive here and well, but also services that many want here. I'd like to see more services for people, such as doctor's offices, such as different things that would allow people to not have to travel. That many of the towns around us enjoy that we don't have. We do have a chiropractic office here, but that's really about it when it comes to medical. We don't have any dental. We don't have, you know, the grocery store that everybody wants. I'd love to see that come in and develop downtown. We have spaces that are open that I'd like to see usable, and other spaces that I'd like to see developed into possibly more parking for downtown, as we have issues with that on Main Street. Many of the businesses I've talked to say that's their biggest issue, is finding parking for everybody and being able to have those spots available. Our infrastructure, I'd love to see that in the next 10 years be taken care of more. We have a failing infrastructure now that is getting a lot of Band-Aids put on it that needs to be repaired. We need to look at ways that we can fund that. We need to find ways that we can fix a lot of that stuff. So that's what I'd like to see, and then work with our businesses so that they're thriving, so that other businesses see that and want to come here.
And Mrs. Browning, to you, what is your vision for Lula in 5 years and in 10 years?
So I may be extremely overboard with this, but if I was going to dream, I believe you should dream big, and I dream big for Lula. I look at some of the small towns that have grown. For instance, Auburn is one of my favorite ones to use. Our downtown is not where it should be or where it could be or what it could be. And it's because we just don't invest in it. And I know that personally as a business that was downtown, I was invested in and I had a thriving business and we outgrew our place. But poor Jack, who just closed his business 2 weeks ago, his biggest complaint was nobody was coming in. And it broke my heart because he was trying so hard. I think that as a city, we need to push for this downtown to be more inviting, and it is not inviting. I could probably wage any of you to say that you visit the Mexican restaurant and you may get your dog groomed, but that's kind of where it ends. And we could be so much more than that. And my vision is more than that. I think that if we could make this more attractive, we would bring in more people. I know that some people think building more houses brings people. I travel all over. It's not about that I live there. It's about the downtown that's inviting, that gets me to want to go there. And that is my vision for that. For the 10 years, I just pray we can keep Lula. That's where my thoughts are. If we can get through the 5 years, then the 10-year would be the next thing, because I'm worried about everything coming up 365.
And Mr. Carlisle, who's running in District 2 City Council. The question is, what is your vision for Lula in 5 years and in 10 years?
I think for Lula in 5 years, I would say that we could focus on kind of cleaning up the town, making it a little more inviting. I think that the town that we have here is unique in what it has. I mean, it's a town where you can come, you got the tracks, you got that history of the train, you got where we're sitting right now, this building itself. To me, when you pass this and you see this as you're coming into town, this actually looks unique. It's a beautiful building to me when I see it. It's something that I like to see, something like that. Why can't we draw people into this town? I think if in 5 years, why can't we get better parking? Why can't we get it to where people want to come here? Why can't we continue to encourage cleaning up the buildings that are in the town itself, revamping them? It shouldn't look like any of them are abandoned. I'd rather them look like they're usable spaces and get them to be used, and that people will come to this town to eat restaurants, visit shops, do things like that. I think moving on down into the 10-year plan, I'm sure by then you're going to start seeing more residents move in with the neighborhoods that are already coming in, and additional plans, and just you continue to see up 365 all the buildings that are going on there. We need to, I think, get to where we almost embrace that, because I don't think you can get in the way of it. It's already here, it's coming, they're going to use it. If you don't just go ahead and embrace that and get on board with that, that way we can attract those people, we can get this town more relevant. So I think that 5-year plan would play into that 10-year plan. If you get ahead of it now and start getting it and attracting people to want to spend their time in town, we can get ahead of it and we'll be relevant during that 10-year phase when the bigger things do move in.
Mr. Lane, we're going to begin this question with you.
Because I started with Mr. Lane before, so we're on.
Don't take it personally.
Well, Ms. Browning, we can
Did
start
I
with
do
you.
that? I did it right. Last, I
I
started
think we
with
were in
Lane
check.
and
We
went
were in
to.
check. We were in check.
Okay, making sure.
All right, so here we go. Ms. Browning,
Yes, absolutely.
what are your thoughts on the inland port in the 365 corridor?
It's here and we can't do anything about it. That's the gist of it. What we can do is focus on everything here in Lula. We just, unfortunately, and I think this is sad, I mean, it's on my road, so I'm the one that has to deal with it the most. The Rouse brothers just put a mixed industry out on Julian Ball. Now that they have that mixed industry on Julian Ball, in the last week, every property from Rouse brothers up was surveyed. None of the property owners had surveys done. So let me just say that. I did find out from Joey Holmes that that's not illegal. That is a thing. So I want you all to think about, now that we have that mixed industry that has just opened up there, every property that got surveyed last week is a possible person that could change their property to mixed industry and move that much closer into Lula. That scares me. That is what we need to be aware of, and we need to be watching. As we see the things that are going on in Hall County, the growth that is just out of this world out there. it's gonna hit us. I know that we have Athens Street that's getting developed with 400 homes, and then possibly another 100 homes that the other night they came unprepared and they weren't gonna discuss it, so it got tabled. But we have to watch these industries that are coming in here because they will swallow up our town. The same industry owns the farm that is on 365. The same industry that's coming here is now owning the landscaping business. It's just one big company buying it up, and that's what we need to be afraid of.
The same question, we're gonna move on to Mr. Carlisle. The same question goes for you. We didn't finish with Mr. Lane.
You already answered it?
No,
No.
we were gonna come back around.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Carlisle, we'll get on this.
I'll give you my minutes.
Mr. Carlisle, District 2. Here we go. What are your thoughts on the inland port and the 365 corridor?
The inland port and what's going on out there on 365. I mean, it's impossible for us. I don't think we're going to just stop it. I mean, it's coming. I think what it kind of plays into what I said earlier about the 5-10-year plan. I think we kind of have to own up to the fact that it is coming. If you hide from it, it could take us over. I can look at two different scenarios of where I think it might have went wrong. If you go to Sugar Hill, I was there when it was kind of like us. It was small, there was a park, there was buildings, it wasn't overdeveloped. If you go drive through the same area that I did out that way now, it's overgrown. It's apartments, it's kind of lost what character it had. You can almost miss it because it just blends in with everything else and looks like that. We don't want to lose the character here in Lula. But we also don't want to ignore the fact that the progress is coming, that if we embrace it, we can actually utilize that to maybe boost the economy of Lula. Maybe that money could be used to have more events in Lula, because some of the best times that are here in Lula is when we get together for railroad days, when we get together for what we just did. I mean, that's when we come together as a community. We could use those funds to revamp the park. We can use those things. So I don't know if we should look at that as a bad thing. So I don't look at it as a bad thing. I also don't look at it as something that we're going to stop. I mean, when they want to use that land, it's a lot of land. They're using it for the warehouse. I mean, Kubota's everywhere. And I've seen plans for bigger things coming with Keegan and Kane. Those are just plans now, but those are big plans in the works that we should be getting ahead of and embrace. Otherwise, we could get swallowed up and forgotten. But I don't want that for this city.
Mr. Llewellyn, District 3, we're also going to ask, what are your thoughts on inland port and the 365 corridor?
Well, let's see why you're rotating, they've done stole my answers, so. No, I'm kidding. I don't think anybody really understands or knows what the full impact of the inland port is going to be. I don't think the Port Authority even knows, because nobody knows exactly how many private businesses are actually going to be using it. I think it's probably going to be more impactful than what we think. As they've previously stated, we can't stop it, it's here, let's embrace it, let's figure out ways to profit from it. Let's all get on GDOT, and instead of these plans for getting 365, ready in 50 years, let's see if we can get them moved up. Let's get these controlled accesses sooner. Let's get the extra lanes put in sooner. And it's going to take all of us, not just here in Lula, but I mean, we got to get the county on board, industry on board. But we got to get them moving faster. We can't wait till 2050 to have all this done.
And back to the mayoral race, Mr. Lane,
Finally.
it's your turn.
Finally, okay. So I have a unique situation. I've been in on a lot of the inland port discussions because of the nature of where we work at Kubota, and with some of the stuff that we're doing and some of the bids that we put in and the company I work for will deal directly with the inland port. So we've had a lot of inside discussions with them, and my thoughts on that is like everybody said, it's here. You're dealing with the Port Authority. Port Authority pretty much does what the Port Authority wants to do. They have thought this out. A lot of people don't feel that they have, but it has been thought out with what they're going to do with the traffic. We're going to have a lot of truck traffic, and we know that. I know everybody's worried that the traffic's going to come through here. Yes, we're going to get that. They do have a plan in place where they want to direct traffic going north to go all the way to Toccoa, out that way on 17, and traffic going south to go down, hit 129, head down 85. You're still going to have the few trucks that are going to come through on a daily basis. We already have that. We already have the extra truck traffic now. Plans are in the works for the widening of 365, for putting limited access, putting collector roads and stuff on the side. They've already got the right of ways for that. And then long term, as Chris was saying, you know, the freeway conversion all the way up to Dennis Mount Airy Road. So plans are in the works. Yes, we do need to talk to GDOT to be able to work that a little bit quicker than what their plans are. But again, we need to embrace it. It's coming. Let's see how we can make it work for us. Use that tax base to our advantage instead of to our disadvantage.
Okay, going to District 2, City Councilman Mr. Carlisle. What are 3 things you want to accomplish for the Lula citizens?
3 things. I know some, because from I just talking to people that I know, the park. And I could probably get 3 things in the park, but I won't take 3 things just on the park, but I know revamping the park. There's certain things that they're talking about, maybe getting the water fountain that works out in the park. I know my pastor, he actually likes playing pickleball. Maybe we could do something out there with the tennis court and get it set up for pickleball, but also getting it to where it could be accessible at night. We're about to be in the time change that limits when you can use the park, and I think that tennis court gets used a lot. I mean, I've heard that people break out the fights out there at the park, so maybe we can get a light out there for some nighttime usage as well, so that would expand its use, and maybe get the basketball court fixed up and usable out there and really make that a usable space, because that's a highlight for our town. Other things I would like to do, parking. Like I said, I think we need more parking in town so it's more usable and friendly. When you do come in here, it's a little overwhelming, especially when there's an event. There isn't a whole lot of parking and you're kind of scrambling where to park. And as much great as it is to park over by a old truck stop that's kind of old and run down, that doesn't exactly scream, let's go park over there. So I think we can do something about that and make it a little more inviting, and then just continue to clean up the town. When we do revamp, because is it the Riley Brothers, what they did with that building, it's actually nice now. And before, I walked by it jokingly, I said it was haunted. So let's get away from the haunted town look and make it look like a town you want to come spend time in.
Okay, District 3, Mr. Llewellyn. The question is, what are 3 things you want to accomplish for the Lula citizens?
I mean, I'd like to see more businesses here, you know, and I think that developing the downtown will enable that. Right now, we don't have that many buildings to draw them in. I would kind of like to see more parks as well, more little smaller parks. You know, I live up on the Belton side. You know, I'd like to see something up there. You know, nothing really as big as what we have here, but a little area there. And just continue to try to make it more accessible, you know, improve more sidewalks. You know, did a great job down through here. I'd like to see more of that throughout the town.
Mr. Lane? You can tell I was a former teacher, right? Mr. Lane, what are 3 things you want to accomplish for the Lula citizens?
Well, that question really weighed on me. I thought about that for several days when I got these. I want to bring that sense of community back. You know, back to where we can have get-togethers, where people can just come and fellowship. That it's not a series of complaining sessions, I guess you would call it, where people can come and enjoy themselves. We used to have meals here once a month. We used to do lots of different things. Movies in the park, movies here at the stage, things like that to bring the community together. Get to know your neighbor. There's so many people I've met that I thought I knew a lot of people. And so I started going around and knocking on doors. There's a lot of people I didn't know. And I just want people to know each other. I think with that, you get a lot of ideas, you get a lot of people involved, and that's what we want to have, is people involved. Juliet always says this at the council meetings, you know, it's nice to see a lot of people coming out. And it is, because when you get involved, that's when you get things changed. Also, same line that they were talking with the parks. See the parks cleaned up, see the parks usable for where people want to go and enjoy themselves. We used to have tables in the parks. We don't have any more over, especially at Great Banks over here, but use the tennis courts more often, have lighting that we can use the ball fields. Kids used to go out there and play. We don't see that anymore. We don't see Park and Rec using those anymore like they used to because they built these nice big complexes. So I'd love to see that. And then also just improve our infrastructure. I think that the people, the citizens of Lula deserve a better infrastructure, not have to worry about water lines breaking every time we turn around. Work on that and work on better internet services. We all know what happened a couple weeks ago.
Ms. Browning? The question is, what are 3 things you want to accomplish for the Lula citizens?
So I could tell you all the things you want to hear. I could say, we need to work on the park, and we need to work on the ball field, and we need to work on the lighting. But I'm not even going to go in that route. If you are downtown for any amount of time, you wonder, what are we going to do about the homeless population? What are we doing about the drugs that are on the back of Carter Alley? What are we going to do about literally just garbage on our streets? What do we do to clean up things? For me, when I was a restaurant owner, we had to clean needles off of our back porch every day. And that is something that no one should ever have to do in our town. We have a phenomenal group of people, but then we have a group that aren't really here because they love Lula. They're here because they transplanted here for whatever reason. I would like to clean that up. I would like for us to feel safe again. I would like for us to do those things where we can bring our kids out here, our grandkids, and do movies and not feel like there's an inch of not feeling safe. And I think by cleaning up all of these unwanted areas, we could get there. Lula could get back to what I came to 32 years ago when I would walk across that bridge to go wash my clothes at the laundromat and go get my groceries at Lula Grocery. We could get back to that if we just work together to do it, and I think that it's possible.
Mr. Llewellyn, we're going to start with you. The question that we have is, what direction are you personally wanting to see Lula go in as far as development is concerned?
As I keep mentioning, I'd like to see more businesses, small businesses here in the heart of Lula. I'd like to see some larger businesses built on 365. And I think we need more single-family housing. I'd like to see that continue to develop, which to me is what you gotta have. You gotta have the population to support these businesses. So that's my answer.
Ms. Browning, we're going to jump back to you. The question is, what do you personally want to see Lula go in, which direction as far as development is concerned?
I think that I don't want to say that I'm completely against growth. We need growth. With our population so low, it's around 3,000. Without a little bit bump of population, we're not going to get anything to move in our area. So we know that. Business-wise, I don't think industry is there for us. I think that other businesses would be more beneficial. Businesses as a community that we could all use. I know Bruce mentioned doctors or dentists or any of those type of. We could be a very self-serving community where we had everything we need right here, which would be phenomenal if you look at the fact that a lot of our community is elderly. We have an older population that definitely is in need of care. And I think by bringing in those sorts of things, it would be amazing. I mean, can y'all imagine? We have the best pharmacy around. Y'all know that. And we have the best groomer in town. And Lula Grocery, thank you God, when I run out of stuff, I know I can run there at any time. But can you imagine if we had so much more to add to that right here in our little town? We wouldn't have to worry so much about going up 365 and getting stuck in traffic or going to some of the other places. And it's just something I would love to see.
Mr. Lane, we're going to move to you here. What's the direction you were wanting to see Lula personally go in as far as development is concerned?
Well, for development, growth is coming. We've already seen it. We can either accept it, make it work for us, or we can reject it and let it go by. We need to support our businesses that are here so that more businesses will want to come here. And as long as we're responsible in doing this, as long as we are guiding this in a responsible manner, I think development is a good thing. We've already got 800 homes on the books now. We need to see what the impact's going to be on that. We need to plan for it correctly. We need to be proactive, as I said before in that. We need to stand up to some of these developers who keep coming in and thinking they're going to dictate to us what they're going to do. This is our town. This is our community. That's not their place. I mean, they're coming here asking us to do something, not telling us they're going to do something. And we need to stand up to them. We need to have a firmer grip on that when it comes to these developers that come in. But I'm not saying development's bad. Development, we need it. As we were talking, there's about 3,000 people here now. A lot of businesses, a lot of grocery stores, restaurants, different things like that, they do studies and they look at rooftops. They look and see how many people are going to support them. And if there's not enough people, they won't come. Chick-fil-A is a great example. The studies that Chick-fil-A does before they place a restaurant are phenomenal. That's why you don't see an underperforming Chick-fil-A, because they know how to put it where they got to put it and the people that are going to be there for it. And when it comes to this development, I've said this before, I support a 6-month moratorium on development so we can get our feet back under us.
Mr. Carlisle, we're going to close this question with you. So what direction are you personally wanting to see Lula go in as far as development is concerned?
I think with the development, what I would like to see and avoid, I mean, I don't know what the neighborhood that's coming in over here, I don't know what kind of houses those are, but I know as we do have development, I'd rather avoid kind of the affordable housing that would come in or could come in, because a lot of times with what you get with that is you get a lot of renters, you're gonna get people that may not really care about our community. I'd rather it be to where they do care about the community, that we get true residents that become Lula citizens and actually want to be a part of the community, that want to keep it cleaner, make it nicer, do what was said, clean up the town, get it to where it is a beautiful town to be in. And we do need additional population, because through my church, I've heard we have some teachers that you would think that there's a lot of kids because you think there's just a booming population, but they're actually running low on kids in the school. And I want Lula Elementary to, my kids went through that school. So I want to support the school and make sure that they all have their jobs, that their job and their futures are secure. And the impact that the school that we have here at Lula Elementary and just around, and how their values that they endorse, they actually are allowing liberty to go into the school system and pray over the churches, and that kind of, just that vibe, that feeling, to allow that into the schools, that is important to have that. And I want to support the school system, so I do want population to come in, but I want to be controlled, get the right population and get the right people in, so that they do care about the community, and then, we can actually improve the city.
We're going to start this question with the mayor's candidates, and Mr. Lane, we'll start it. So we talked about the downtown district. I've heard you guys mention it a lot, and the ways that you want to boost it and make it more successful, right? But I want to know, what things might you choose not to change?
I wouldn't change a thing. As far as businesses we have, they're great. I've stopped and spoken to every business here in Lula so far. And I continue to talk to them on a weekly basis when I'm going by the store. Cody opened his shop up over here, Nails at the Rails, Murmurs, coffee shop. All these businesses I've spoken to, and their biggest thing is that they need people. They need support. They want to see the city supporting them so that they're successful. And I believe, I don't really see any issue with the downtown businesses. I don't see anything I want to change, other than maybe and this is a touchy subject, the times that they're open. We have a business here in town that's open 24 hours a day, and that attracts things that, as we've talked before, it brings maybe the wrong clientele into town. And, you know, I think that needs to be monitored a little better. I think that could be regulated a little bit to where these businesses aren't open that late throughout the night. And that would help with the security of the city.
Ms. Browning, the question is, what things might you choose not to change?
The people. So the people that run our businesses downtown right now, they're phenomenal. I mean, if you've ever stopped to go talk to them, and they have invested in our city, which you don't find that everywhere. You find businesses that go into business and they go out within their first 5 years. We know that Erica has been there at Grumman on the Tracks more than 5 years. Nails on the Rails, they got over 20 years here in Lula. Kim at the Tracks that runs a catering company, she has more than 10 years in Lula. The other businesses that, the Mercantile, I think they're coming up on 8 or 9 years. So we have these amazing people that have invested in our town, and I just feel that we need to give back to that. We need to support them and show them that we appreciate them. We want them here. And I can't thank them enough because when I was in business, they were the most phenomenal business partners as in being on the same street together. You could lean on anybody if you needed to, and that's very rare in the business world. So I think that we're very special in Lula just for that one reason. You will not find that anywhere. I could go to Erica and say, could you watch my restaurant for a minute? And she would come over, she wouldn't even bat an eye. At the Nails, I mean, I don't know how many times I've been down there and said, oh my God, can y'all watch my door for a minute? So that's what I wouldn't change. We have great people.
Mr. Two, Mr. Carlisle, what things might you choose not to change?
I think I would choose not to change the people and the culture. I mean, I don't have a huge, long answer for this. I think we need to not change the people, not change the culture, but maybe we need to enhance the people, enhance the culture, enhance to where the businesses can be successful, to where we don't see the restaurants like yours that come and then they go. They don't tend to make it in the environment we have. Let's get it to where they can come in, the businesses can be successful, and they can stay and become part of a more permanent mark on the town to where they can be landmarks for future people.
And Mr. Llewellyn in District 3 City Council race, what might you choose not to change about the downtown area?
We're a railroad town, that's what it was founded as. I don't think we need to try to move away from that. I think we need to embrace it even more. Yeah, we got the bridge, we got the depot building here, but I think we just need to enhance that and just realize that is our history. And like I said, embrace it, and not as we do develop the downtown, don't move too far away from that.
Mr. Carlisle, we're going to start with you on this question. If someone came to you with a proposal to build a new building or a piece of public infrastructure in this city, let's say a road, a bridge, etc., how would you evaluate whether that project was worth implementing?
One, I would want to get in contact with all the proper channels and make sure that they have what they need to do that. I'd also want to see what the funds were for that, to see what the impact would that be on our city, on any particular resident. Would it affect any businesses? How would it affect traffic? Things of that nature. But a lot of it would definitely, is it gonna impact our city in a positive way? Is it gonna, what's the reasoning for it behind it? You wanna check all those channels and like I said, where's the funding for it coming from? I wouldn't want it to cripple us on later projects or other things that we need to do for the supporting the infrastructure, repairing other projects that are going on. So it would be a lot to take into account for that. It would not be something that would be a snap decision.
Mr. Lell, District 3, we're going to ask you the same question there. If someone came to you with a proposal to build a new piece of public infrastructure, such as a road or a bridge or something of that nature, how would you determine whether that was worth implementing?
I would want to make sure it's something that is going to be beneficial for the entire city. And as Mr. Carlisle said, not going to overly negatively impact, any particular business. And then I would want to see future. Is that something that, we're going to build, that we're going to have expenses every year to maintain? Like he said, you don't want to cripple down the road. I remember I can't remember the name of it now, the swim house down in Gainesville. I know that's not what it's called. But that was a problem. They got it built, well, then they didn't have the funds to keep it going every year. It was a struggle. So I just want to make sure it wouldn't negatively impact us in the future through taking so much to maintain it.
We're going to close this question with the mayoral candidates. We're going to start with Ms. Brown. What would you think about to determine whether or not a piece of public infrastructure, if someone came to you, how would you determine whether or not that was worth implementing or not?
As a financial person, I think the bottom line for me is I would be saying, what's it costing us? And when I say what's it costing us, I don't just mean a dollar figure. What's it costing the community? What is it costing us on our infrastructure? What is it costing us as a whole? Because all of those pieces to that puzzle, they matter. You may think, oh, we're getting a new road, it's gonna be great. But maybe that new road just took 10 feet off of somebody's yard. We have to think of every single piece to that puzzle. And I don't necessarily think in a lot of projects that has been thought of. How does it affect the road? How does it affect the town? Is it enhancing anything? I can see on so many different projects that you see in Gainesville and you think, really, that's what they spent their money on? I wouldn't have spent money on that. I can think of a million other things to spend money on. But I think that you have to, bottom line, figure out what's it costing, not just the dollar amount, but for everyone as a whole. Is it going to affect our neighborhood? Is it going to affect our town? Does it improve us? Because if it's not an improvement, why are we bothering even listening to it? And I think that that's the thing now. We listen to so many projects and we have so many people coming to Lula wanting to do things. But being able to use the word no is not a bad thing.
Mr. Lane, we'll close this question with you. If someone came to you with a proposal to build a new piece of public infrastructure for the city, such as a bridge or a road or something of that nature, how would you determine whether or not that project was worth implementing?
Well, first and foremost, as everybody said, is it going to be beneficial to the city, to the citizens, to the people affected by it? Look at all the pros and cons. What's it going to cost us initially? What's it going to cost us down the road and in the future? Is this something that in the future is going to have to be revamped? Like, say, a road. Is it going to handle the traffic now and in the future, or just now? Those are questions that need to be asked, and I think accountability comes into play. You have to be accountable for what you decide on, and when people bring these proposals, wanting to do things, you have to look at all of it. Do we want a developer or somebody coming in and saying, hey, we want to do this, and then as soon as they're done, they pull out, leave, and you're left holding the bag? We have to look at all that, do our background checks on these people, and make sure, they're in for the long haul as well, but make sure it's beneficial to the citizens, to the city, aesthetically as well. How's it going to look? If somebody came and put a bridge in, do we want just a plain old bridge, or do we want something that's going to look good, like when you go to Swanee down there and you see the bridge going over 85? That looks good. Then you go down the road a little farther and see a bridge and there's nothing on it. There's a lot of different things you want to look for when somebody's offering to do something. There's a reason they're offering it. And it may just be they want to line their pockets with money. It may be that they are here to help. But you have to do your due diligence, you have to do your homework before you decide if that's good for the city or not.
So I wanted to take a minute, we're over halfway through the questions, and if any of you needed to take a break for just a minute, like a 5-minute break, we could take a 5-minute break and then come back to our questions.
I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Everybody good? I don't want to embarrass anybody, you know. Okay, so we're going to start this question with District 3, Mr. Llewellyn. This is one of my favorite questions. If you received a $1 million grant, and you don't have to match it, okay?
Okay.
To use for the city in any way you wanted, what would you like to do with it and why?
So I have learned in a year and a half that $1 million in government doesn't go very far. But the romantic part of me would say I'd like to use that money to make it a little more accessible with a multi-use sidewalks. You can use golf carts on, you can use bicycles. But the practical side of me, it's not glamorous, but another reminds me like high-rise water tank. And I know you can't buy a new one for that, but there's actually, you can actually find used ones. They're still, you refurbish them, they last. So I would look at adding more water storage. So we've got 2 pipe storage that they need to be replaced. So I'd like to see another big high rise like we have now. I think the one we got now is 300,000, another 300,000 gallon. So that's what I would do.
Okay, Mr. Lane, the mayoral candidate. If you received a $1 million grant to use for the city in any way you wanted, what would you like to do with it and why?
Well, one side of it says reinvest it and get the interest off it and make more money, but to use it for the city, infrastructure. As I've said before, we have an aging water and sewer system that lines, they break quite a few times. We're coming into the cold season, we're gonna see that more and more, and I would like to see upgraded lines, lines that are fixed, not just put Band-Aids on and just patch, but use that money wisely to improve our infrastructure. Again, that's not gonna go far. $1 million is, in this day and age, it's not a lot of money, as Chris was saying, and you almost could pave a road for that sometimes. So use it wisely to get what you have to get done, infrastructure-wise, to help in the areas that is going to be a failing structure down the road.
Ms. Browning, the question is, if you received a $1 million grant to use for the city in any way you wanted, what would you like to do with it and why?
So the important part of that question is they're asking me if I wanted to use it any way I wanted. And I think that I could say all the right things. I could say we could fix the sidewalks and we could do the infrastructure, but this is like a dream, right? It's a dream $1 million. So my dream for Lula, Carter Alley. We redo Carter Alley and we make it something that everybody in Lula wants to come to. Because right now, other than driving down and hitting garbage cans, it is the most useless area in Lula. Why do we own it? I don't know why. So everybody can drive the back way. I don't know. It could be a phenomenal area for shopping. I know that sounds crazy, but I've been really researching this Auburn area where they have these little tiny places. The city built them. The tenants all pay rent to the city. It's a money maker and more money coming in. And I think that would be dreamy.
Thank you. And District 2, Mr. Carlisle, the question is, if you received a $1 million grant to use for the city in any way you wanted, what would you like to do with it and why?
I mean, I would agree. I think $1 million sounds like a lot, but in this day and age, that's probably not going to go far. But I would say that $1 million with that grant, that could be a good kickstart to fixing up some of the parking that we do have around here. I mean, maybe not creating all new parking areas, because then you get into construction, you're having to level and grade and do all that, you're going to get kind of high in cost. But maybe take some of the existing areas we do have, resurface and get those to where they're more usable for it. You could certainly use some of that to revamp the park and do some of the amenities that I talked about earlier. I think $1 million would more than enough cover getting some lighting put in at the park. Hopefully get the water fountain working. I mean, we could tap into that. I would think somebody could do that. And then if there is money left over, rather than use it all up all at once, maybe put some of that in a reserve and hold on to that to see if there's any future projects that could come up. Or with all the growth that's coming, maybe some infrastructure does fail, put that aside so we have it to make sure we're covered for that.
All right, this next question, we're going to start back with our mayoral candidates. And Ms. Browning, you're going to start off. The question is, if elected, what 3 steps would you take to put the city of Lula on a much more firm financial footing?
So to even get there, you would need to do some type of audit to see where we're at. I mean, you can't just roll in and be like, this is all the money we have. I know that I've watched this, some of my friends have been going through all the books at Hall County, and it's amazing how wasteful a county can be with taxpayers' money. And I feel that that is probably everywhere. I think that it would be important to go through, look at these books, look where the financials are, look where, what are the plans? I mean, are we even implementing these plans, or are they just visions that we have money set aside for that we are just not doing anything with? I know that Chris has mentioned that government runs slow. Everything runs slow in business. That's just how it is. But you can be a ball buster and push it through if you want to. And I think that that's an important thing. If you have somebody with a vision and they're willing to work for you, and that is exactly what I'm willing to do for Lula, I think it's amazing what you can get done.
Mr. Lane, the same question for you. If elected, what 3 steps would you take to put the city of Lula on a much more firm financial footing?
Well, again, you've got to see where you're starting from. You can't just go in blind. You've got to know where the money is now, where it's going, what it's being used for. And look at everything that you have and what you need, just like you would do your normal household banking. You've got to know what's coming in before you can send money out. We're not the federal government where we spend more than we take in. We can't just go make money. We can't just go print it. There's ways to take care of your financial footing, and that's through, broaden your tax base. And that's working with your businesses to bring more people in. More of that SPLOST money, more of that T-SPLOST and stuff like that the city relies on. Secure investments for infrastructure funding so that you're not spending out of your general fund. And then cultivate your downtown local business growth. The stronger your businesses are in your downtown, the better your city footing is going to be. Financially, because you've got people coming to the city, spending money in the city, and wanting to be here. I think that's how we get to a firmer financial footing, so that we know what we're spending, know what we have going out, so then we can earmark those projects and know what we have to spend on them.
Mr. Carlisle, we're going to step to you for this. District 2, if elected, what 3 steps would you take to put the city of Lula on a much more firm financial footing?
One of them, I think, me and my wife, we were actually talking about this because she works with GDOT, but T-SPLOST, I think that's something that I would want to continue to see if we can have that, because that does help us have some extra funding for road projects and things like that, so that keeps your budget under control there. I would want to make sure we're checking books, make sure that there isn't any waste going on, that what funds we do have available to us are being used for the right thing. And I think as part of District 2 and why I'm doing this is serving the community, get the community involved, maybe find out what is the residents of Lula, what do we want to see as the businesses for the town? What would they like to see? What would draw them to want to, instead of going to Gainesville, going to Cornelia, going to neighboring areas, to spend their money there that could be used here to boost our own economy? What do they want to see here as far as shops? What do they want to see here as restaurants? What is it going to take for them to be here, and see if we can't get behind people and really get them motivated to bring those businesses here and draw them in here and get the entrepreneurs in here that want to support Lula and keep the money where it should be in Lula.
Mr. Allen, District 3, we'll close this question with you. If elected, what 3 steps would you take to put the city of Lula on a much more firm financial footing?
We've got a city manager and assistant city manager now. I would like to see us go after more grants. I would like to see us make sure we're saving money, look for ways that we can save, fix expenses. We just did a thing where we signed a contract with a company to take care of the water tanks. Over a 10-year period, it's gonna save us, a significant amount of money, plus we'll have better service when we do have problems. And the other way is just to make sure that our enterprise funds, our utilities, are covering the costs, not just the cost today, but the cost that we know is gonna be there when this stuff has to be updated. We do have on our water bills, we do charge, a meter fee, so when the meter needs replaced, we've got that. But we need to make sure we've got the money there to fix, as Bruce keeps saying, put the water lines in, the new water lines, not just keep patching, when we need to put another one. So that's the things I would try to do, and then I think I'll put us on a firmer financial standing.
So we will start this question with District 2, Mr. Carlisle. Do you support requiring more affordable housing units from residential developers in exchange for zoning variances? And what other forms of support can the city provide for affordable housing?
My experience with affordable housing is it depends. I'm not 100% behind it if it attracts a lot of renting. Because what I said earlier, you're gonna get a lot of residents that may not really support the city as much as you would want them to, because they're just here temporarily. They're not planning on staying here for 17 years like I have. They're not gonna experience Lula for that long. They may not care what happens in Lula in 5 or 10 years, like we were talking about, or 30 years down the line. So will they take care of their property? I don't know. You don't know with that. Some people do, some people do not. I've seen it go both ways. If we were gonna support affordable housing, I would want it to be affordable, but maybe encourage that it has an HOA, or it has something that would control who would actually buy into that home, to maybe where it would be somebody that would own it, that would take that ownership, that pride in their property, the pride in Lula that we all have, and that would actually support Lula becoming the city we want it to be.
District 3, Mr. Llewellyn. Do you support requiring more affordable housing units from residential developers in exchange for zoning variances? And what other forms of support can the city provide for affordable housing?
I do not, and I believe anytime government meddles in private industry, we actually mess it up. I would like to see us cut regulation. I mean, I did an AI search the other day. The average house, $93,000 of the cost of average house is due to local, state, federal regulations. I think if we could cut some of that, but I think we've got to let the market build what is required, what the market is demanding. If it's demanding 1,000 square foot housing, we need to maybe look at changing some zoning. But no, I would not support that.
Moving to the mayoral candidates, Mr. Lane. Do you support requiring more affordable housing units from residential developers in exchange for zoning variances? And what other forms of support can the city provide for affordable housing?
So I don't support developers getting their variance request and in exchange for the affordable housing. Because who's to say what the affordable housing is to them, to us? I do believe everybody should have that right to be able to come in and be able to afford a home. I am in real estate, so I see a lot of the different numbers out there, and they're crazy. Some of the homes that we see going now are anywhere from 50 to 100,000 more than they probably should be, but that's the market we're in right now. Will that adjust? I hope so. I do support having affordable housing to a point, and maybe mobile homes embedded into some of the community areas. They make very good ones now, same with modular homes. There's tiny home villages. I know that's not a popular thing with a lot of people. And again, I'm not on board with the rentals, because with the rentals, you're not invested. The landlords are, but 9 times out of 10, landlords don't live in our city. they live somewhere else, so they don't care. They come and put these houses up, they come and do these things, and they turn around a few years later, they sell that off to some other investor who sells it again and sells it again. Nobody's ever invested. They're always just running people through. You know, when it comes to affordable housing, that's a difficult question for a lot of people, I believe, because what's affordable to us may not be affordable to somebody else. I want to see everybody be able to afford a home. Is that possible? Don't know. There's a lot of programs out there that help people afford homes, and I think that if we allow ourselves to let people know what those services are, educate them on that when they come through, which I know is a job of a lot of realtors that do that, but you know, with the developers coming in and saying, hey, we're gonna build you, 10 houses out of 100 that are gonna be affordable, what's the affordable?
And Mrs. Browning, will close this question with you. Do you support requiring more affordable housing units from residential developers in exchange for zoning variances? And what other forms of support can the city provide for affordable housing?
So, my take on it is, we don't have to give in. They can come to us, and I don't think that we have to give them a variance. We can make the rules, we can say no. I'm all about affordable housing, but again, we are trying to build a town that is attractive, that other people want to move to, that people want to visit. And the whole point is, we just need to be in control of it. And there is nothing wrong with saying no. And I think that everybody is scared of that word. They think that developers are going to sue you, or you're going to have other legal problems. Well, at some point, we're going to have to get a backbone, and we're going to have to say, sue us then. You don't agree with us? That's fine. I mean, the Norton thing that's over here, some of you may like it. I think it's like one of the most unattractive places in Lula. That is just me. That's my opinion. I think it could have been done better. I think it was going to be done better, and then it kept getting turned down, turned down, turned down. So for me, I'm all about everybody starting and having a home and having that option for them, but we just need to be in control of how that works. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with saying no. You can always say no. It's always an option.
Mr. Llewellyn, District 3, we're going to start this question with you. It's a large topic of conversation, specifically in this day and time. Do you support the idea of creating a police force here in Lula, and if so, how would you fund it?
Well, I do not at this time. We do hear some complaints occasionally about Hall County's response times, but when you go to these meetings and you talk to these other cities, a lot of issues they have, a lot of problems they have is with the police force. So as long as we can maintain without it, no, I would not support a police force.
Ms. Browning, we're going to move to you for this question also. Do you support the idea of creating a police force here in Lula, and if so, how would you fund it?
I do not. I was looking at Jerry Ramos as he is running for sheriff, and I was looking at some of the numbers that he came up with, and I don't think that would be feasible for Lula to afford. We just couldn't do it at this time. But there are other venues. I do believe that Hall County can and is very supportive of us with their police force. I know that they are spread thin, but I can tell you that as a business owner on right here on Main Street, that there was many mornings when I felt unsafe, and I could call and they would walk me in. So they're available. We just have to have a better communication with them and know that at whatever time we need more from them, and hope that we can build a relationship off of that.
Mr. Lane, we're going to move to you on this question also. Do you support the idea of creating a police force here in Lula, and if so, how would you fund it?
Well, I'm going to be the opposite of everybody, and I do support that. And it's a touchy subject. It's an expensive subject, to the tune of about $1.2 to $1.5 million to get something like that off the ground. But there are ways that can be handled without putting the burden on the taxpayer or on the citizens of Lula. There's different funding options out there. General fund allocation we can use. We don't want to do that because that money needs to be used other places. Splosh money can be used on that. State and federal grant opportunities. There's several different ones out there that I've actually looked into, speaking to different small town police forces that have started up, just trying to get their ideas and what did they do? How did they do this? How did they go about it? Homeland Security grants are out there. Public safety grants are out there. We have intergovernmental agreements with Hall County that we could use to get them out here at a better speed, I guess. Response times are slow, but understand where we're at in the county compared to where most of the crime is going on. We're not on the radar like they would be in the city of Gainesville. There's other ways to go about this. There's a what they call a COPS program, which is a grant. There's a JAG program. There's many grants out there that you can get that cover about 98% of the cost to get started. And then from there, then you look at how you're going to fund that. For the intermediate time though, I would rely on Hall County.
Mr. Carlisle, we're going to close this question with you. Do you support the idea of creating a police force here in Lula, and if so, how do you fund it?
I would not. I think having a local, that might be something that we would want to visit later down the road in the future when we have more residents and have more need, and also would have more available, maybe tax money, things like that to pay for it. I actually do support, I think the Hall County, they've done a great job. Anytime we've ever needed them and called them, their response time was on point. And we've actually had an incident that happened, and it was impressive how quick they responded and how many of them actually responded and apprehended the man. It was something to watch, to be honest, and they were impressive to that. So if anything, I would, at this moment in time, maybe support anything we could do to just bolster the Hall County and give them the aid that they need to do their job successfully, because they've been doing a great job, in my opinion.
Thank you. We're going to start this question with the mayoral candidates. And Mr. Lane, you're first. What kind of research have you personally done to understand that Gainesville coming this way towards Lula?
Wow, so I deal with that on a daily basis. I see it coming up the road. I've spoken to many residents as I've been out in the last few months, and Hall County residents, people that don't live within the city limits, and they have a lot of, they hold mixed and sometimes conflicted feelings as far as growth. We see it all the time. People don't like growth. They're actually scared of it. And, as I've said before, it's coming our way. And, how we handle that, how we accept that is going to be what defines us. If we're sitting here all the time saying no, no, no to everything that comes on board, developers eventually are just going to say, you know what, let's just go around you. Let's not worry about it. The expansion of Gainesville, it's a hard thing to stop. That's a machine that is larger than we are. We see that day in and day out. Some see potential for economic growth. We have warehouses that are coming up 365. They're going up quickly. You see the land being cleared. We need to embrace that, use that to our advantage, and accept what's coming before it does run around us. The infrastructure that's going to be coming with that, we need to be able to handle on our side of it as well. And then the ongoing development for the inland port. That's going to bring a lot of these smaller businesses that are going to come in that are supporting the inland port. That's going to be our advantage. That's jobs. That's people don't have to drive so far to get to work.
Mrs. Browning, same question to you. What kind of research have you personally done to understand the Gainesville sprawl towards Lula?
So I have been, there's several different sites. Hall Informed is one of my favorites. They actually post the meetings for Hall County and also post all the meetings for Gainesville. So I've been able, although I've not been able to travel to watch them, it's been fantastic to be able to listen to what's going on and the decisions that they are making for not just Hall County itself, but even on the city level, the decisions they're making. It's so much. That's the only way I can describe it. It is overwhelming in so much. But if we're not informed, that's gonna be the worst thing for us. So we cannot look into it too much. And I think that as I look at, I mean, if you drove down 365 today to Gainesville, I think it was shocking to see all the trees gone. I know a lot of us grew up here and it's all clear cut and gone, and it's shocking, and I don't want that for here. So I feel that staying abreast of it, watching what's happening at Hall County, especially going to the meetings. And if you can't go to the meetings, then again, Hall Informed also always has the meetings on there. If you can watch those and just at least say it and see what they're doing, then we know how fast it is coming, and it is coming faster than I ever anticipated.
Thank you. District 2, Mr. Carlisle, same question to you. What kind of research have you personally done to understand the Gainesville sprawl towards Lula?
Some of the research I've done actually has some pretty large projects that were kind of shocking to me that they were actually in the works. Everything from possible college to possible a lot of homes, way more than what you're seeing right now. So those are things that are going to definitely change the landscape here at Lula if they do come to fruition. And those are things that you want to have on your radar. You don't want to sit in the dark and just hide from it or think it's not going to come, and not pre-plan ahead of that to where we can loop Lula into that to where we are not forgotten, or that they just do everything around us and we're not actually on the same level of that. I would say you don't want to be a Dahlonega. If you go up to that way, when I originally moved into Georgia, that's where I lived. So I got to see what was a small college area turn into, it's enormous. And the town almost disappeared. When you go there, it's sitting in the shadow of the college, just sitting in the buildings that weren't there. It used to look like a small town. Now it just looks like buildings everywhere. And the small town is still there. It's pretty enough, but it isn't Dahlonega like it used to be. I don't want to go visit it. So I don't want to be Lula that people don't want to visit. I want to be the Lula that no longer is Lula. Where is Lula? That they know where Lula is. They know what Lula is, but because we embrace things, we adapted to what was coming because it is coming, and that we get on board to where we can utilize that money to make this just as beautiful as anything that they're going to do out there. And also, I don't want to lose all the trees, but if we do lose some of them, let's make sure what goes in there looks as good as it can.
Thank you. And District 3, Mr. Llewellyn, what kind of research have you personally done to understand the Gainesville sprawl towards Lula?
I mean, not to sound glib, but I mean, I've lived it. I was, as a kid, this was the main road. If you're going to Atlanta, you went down the old Cornelia and then down to Rackertown, you got on the expressway. I rode dirt bikes when we were building 365 over here before it was paved. So it was a gradual creep, but as everybody has stated, I mean, it is really sped up. And then the board, of course, is one reason. I think everybody's trying to get out in front and then be ready to profit from it. We sit between Gainesville and Cornelia. Cornelia's not growing at the same rate. Baldwin's not growing at the same rate, but they are growing. So they're starting to creep down 365. We just gotta stay on top of everything that's coming in and figure out ways to benefit from it. We need to annex more land in the city limits of Lula. More land around 365. And kind of off track, but even down in the Banks County, we need to start annexing more land that way. Basically growing all directions.
Mr. Carlisle, we're going to start with you on this question. Currently, there is no city tax in Lula. Are you going to continue to preserve that status?
I don't want to see an increase in tax. The only tax that I really would get behind or I think has been beneficial to us is, like I said, the T-Splosh. I think that's it's not putting a heavy burden on us, and it's usable for what we need around here, which is going to be something particularly with more growth coming, which is the infrastructure, roads, projects, things like that, to where GDOT can get in here. They do what what they do, and then other agencies, and where we can just maintain our own roads to make sure that we're keeping up with all that extra traffic that we may see in the coming time frame.
Mr. Lowell, same question for you for District 3. Currently, there is no city tax in Lula. Are you going to continue to preserve that status?
Yes, I think as long as we can, we keep it away. Been in some debates on Facebook the last 2 days with people. You know, there's a big push against SPLOST this year. To me, you know, sales tax is the fair, I call it a consumption tax. It's the fairest tax out there. So I would like to see us continue getting SPLOST. And the things we talked about earlier, you know, make sure we're saving money where we can. You know, don't invest in something cheap that we got to redo in a year. You know, let's make sure we're buying something that's got some long-term use to it. I think Lula has done a very, very good job of managing its money. You don't see a lot of frills around here, and that's how we've been able to keep from starting a city tax, city property tax. And I think we just continue to manage, you know, our money close to the vest, and like I said, hopefully SPLOST passes and, you know, we keep getting those funds.
We're going to close this question with our mayoral candidates. Ms. Browning, you're going to be first here. Currently, there is no city tax in Lula. Are you going to continue to preserve that status?
I think the reality is, I would love to preserve that and not have a city tax, but the more I hear about the infrastructure of Lula and some of the things that are starting to deteriorate, I can't say that we'll be able to keep that forever where we have no tax. If we had big enough businesses that could contribute, I would like to think that J. Moore's contributes a huge amount to keeping us away from having to pay city taxes. But we are facing taxes no matter what, and unfortunately, we're in Hall County. I'm in Hall County. I know that a lot of Lula residents are in Banks County, and Hall County is just out of control. And I would like to think that we could keep Lula city taxes away so that we could control those Hall County taxes in a much better way. I mean, I have a farm just down the street. My taxes on my farm, even under conservation, are higher than taxes for my commercial property in White County. That is huge. Most commercial properties are 10 times what a house would be, but here in Hall County, we are just facing gouging, I pretty much feel like. So I would love to say that I would love to keep it away forever, but the truth is, at some point, we're gonna have to look at our books and see where we're at. If we're gonna keep growing the way we are, money's gotta come from somewhere.
Mr. Lane, we're going to close this question with you. Currently, there's no city tax in Lula. Are you going to work to preserve that?
For as long as I possibly can. You know, this question comes up a lot every cycle that there's an election, and you know, it's not a popular one. It's one that nobody wants to hear. Taxes. We already pay county tax, all right, and as she said, it's out of control. You know what we're paying. But as Chris was saying earlier, you know, SPLOST is one of the forms of money that we get for the city that is used for our operating. T-SPLOST, same as that. You know, that's how we repair our roads. That's the money that we use. If that's gone, you know, the reality is, where do you get your money? What are you going to do? I would support more of a business commercial tax base to start versus a homeowner resident tax, but you know, the reality is, if you lose one form of revenue, you've got to figure out where that revenue is going to come back from. I don't support taxes. I'm one of those, I don't like paying taxes. I can't stand going to the store and have to pay tax. I like it when you go to Florida and you don't have that tax. But, you know, unfortunately, you can't operate with nothing. You do have to have funds to operate, and those funds have to come from somewhere. Remember that?
Okay, you two.
And so we come to our last question of the evening, and I first wanted to say thank you so much for attending this event. It is such a huge blessing to be a part of your government. And this is one way that you can be. And thank you so much to the candidates for running for office. Because let's face it, you know, it's not an easy thing. And you're putting yourselves out there and your families out there and everything else. And so I know I speak for everyone in this room. We appreciate what you're doing. So the last question, to me, is a fun question, and we're going to start down District 3 with Mr. Llewellyn. What is something you really love about Lula?
And this is going to sound, well, several things. As mentioned before, we have great farms, we got a great school, we got great people. This is going to be a little different from what others have said. And we don't live right at the downtown, we live in the Belton area. But me and my wife, we get out and we walk a lot, you know, and sometimes we walk at night and we feel safe. You know, and I like that. I like the fact that we feel safe, that, you know, our sons, as they're getting older, you know, they're big enough to take care of themselves. But if they want to take off and run at night with their dog, you know, we don't worry about them. And I think that's getting to be harder and harder to have a place that can do that. So that's what I really like.
Thank you. Mr. Lane? What is something that you love about Luna?
So I grew up, and a lot of people know this, I grew up in upstate New York. Yes, I'm a Yankee. Go ahead, give it to me now. Okay? I've been here a long time now. Okay? I almost don't even have an accent for up there. So anyway, where I grew up, and Lula is very unique to me because where I grew up looks just like this. We've got the mountains, we've got the farms, we've got the small town feel where you know people. And that's what I grew up with. I used to love going to the diner with my dad. We'd go down there and we knew everybody that came in. Just like when we go over here to the neighborhood kitchen or go to the Mexican restaurant or Napoli's, you know people that come in the door. It's the people that make the city. And when I came here 20-some years ago, I was welcomed with open arms. My best friend, who had to leave earlier, one of the first people I met. And it's just felt like home ever since. I've never thought of leaving, although my wife's probably wanted me to, but it's home. That's what I love about it. I love the fact that Chris said you can walk the streets at night and feel safe. I love to be able to take my dog and he walks with me without having to worry about anything. You know, minus the few cars that speed up and down the streets, for the most part, we don't have any issue whatsoever. And I just love that feeling where if you need help, people are there to help you. And, you know, I'm that type of person. Somebody calls me, I'm going to drop what I'm doing and go help them. That's what I do. That's what I like about this. And I just love that feeling that it's, I don't want to say it's like home in New York, but it's home here now.
Mrs. Browning, same question. What is something you love about Lula?
So I don't want Bruce to feel bad because he's a Yankee, because I am too. So,
Oh, good.
yeah, so there you go. So whether you vote for him or me, you're voting for a Yankee. So I was born and raised in Michigan, and I moved here when I was 18, and I come from a much smaller town. I come from a town that probably has less than 500 people. My senior class had 79. So very small town. But I think Lula is magical to me, but probably the most magical part to Lula, and I'm going to call her out right now because she's sitting here, is our Lula ladies. They are magic because you can, on a really, really bad day, walk in and be embraced by the most wonderful group of women that you have ever met. And Miss Marilyn made that happen. And so I'm very, very thankful for you. And I'm thankful that you created that safe place for so many women in our area. So that's probably one of the things I love most.
And to close out this question, Mr. Carlisle, what is something you love about Lula?
Something I love about Lula, I mean, we can talk about the community, we can talk about all the atmosphere there, but what it all adds up to me, because my job requires me to be on roads and go do all the traffic and do all those things and be in the heavy populated areas, because that's how the business works. It's where we're going to find all our customer base. What I love about Lula and what I have loved about Lula for 17 years and hope to continue to love about Lula is the peace that I get here in Lula. When I think of when I'm going home, I'm going to Lula, where I'm going to get away from all the hustle and bustle. And I know that's strange because it's coming, but I'm hoping that we can maintain a lot of that. That's that peace we're talking about. That's where you can walk down the street and you don't feel like something's going to happen to you. That peace that you have. So I'm going to go with the peace, the quiet, just being in Lula. It's, you go into it and it's kind of a little piece of what I would call, it's God's land. It's trees. It's comforting to come to Lula.
Thank you.
So I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. You're actually part of history in the making right now. I do want to thank Cole and Nora for being our moderators tonight. Mr. Robbie Shockley for being our timekeeper. Mr. Jim Greer for going ahead and broadcasting for those that couldn't make it into the depot with us tonight. But I also want to thank all of our candidates. I know our questions weren't always the easiest, but thank you for answering these questions. These questions are what the people are asking. And they're the questions you're going to continue to probably get even if you're in office. So thank you all. I hope everybody has a great night and that you make it home safely. So thank you again. Yes, as Mr. White said. And if you want to join the Historical Society, we have some brochures in the back as you're going out, so you can see when our meetings are and kind of what we are all about. We are a local nonprofit here in Lula, just trying to preserve the history for Lula and for the city of Belleville. Thank you.